Well, what's up, guys? This is Jay and Scott with Revolution Radio, here for, I'm guessing, our final episode of 2020. Scott, how was Christmas? How was your day been?
Well, my day's been just fine. I guess it's cold as hell here in Kansas, and we're probably going to get some more snow. But hey, it happens to the best of us.
Yeah,
Christmas cool,
yeah, I can tell I
you
dropped
know.
out for a second. I said, how was Christmas and how has your day been?
Right, right. Well, no. I just answered the day first because it was more. And I was saying, in Christmas, as far as that goes, we didn't do presents really. Between me and the wife, we gave presents, to the nieces and nephews, and parents sent us a couple $100 for Christmas, which is always nice, and sent in some stuff. So it's nice not having to buy gifts for like a huge amount of extended family, but and it was a good Christmas. I have very little expectations of Christmas, just in retrospect of how thin my Christmases were as a child.
So I think it's part of it, though. Like, one of the downsides of being, you know, married for a long time and not having kids is like you're starting to get to that point where like the holidays, like they're the holidays. Like when you have kids, you get re-excited again
You
for
do it
them,
for them, right?
and it's like, oh, this is great. It's Christmas,
But I'll be honest with you that the way my wife and I are, we're real. Like if she wants something, like if she wants something, like she wants a $300 juicer that she's never used. Well, we tried to use it, but we realized that to make one glass of juice is like $10 worth of vegetables. You know, she'll buy it, and if there's something I really want, we'll make it happen. But I don't want that much. You know what I'm saying? I'm not. I try to be real thrifty for stuff. So at Christmas, it was just like, you know, we just bought another 4K television before, and there's shit we want, we buy it. We don't use Christmas as the excuse to like wait or like splurge.
yeah, no, and I mean more like, I mean for one, the Christmas tree, the presents under the tree, just like the scene of that is kind of cool. And again, when you get to a certain age, you're like, I don't really care anymore. But then you have the family, and it kind of brings it all out. But also, I mean, like the Christmas movies, that whole thing. It
Yeah,
makes
well,
it a little
my
bit
wife likes
better.
the tree, and when we go see my parents, my mom's like straight up all out busts out the crystal and stuff like that for Christmas dinner, and like four different kinds of cranberry sauce, and I mean my family's hardcore like that, but this year is obviously a different story.
Yeah, no, I suppose like for probably for a lot of people. And again, if you do the extended family thing, I'm sure it is. But no, so one thing that you miss because I'm nice and I always let you, call after I start this is starting up our software program is probably the biggest headache. You know, I get the whole thing a lot of times like, well, it's not very hard just to, sit around and talk about stuff. And it's honestly not. And I think about doing the show almost daily, and I'm like, yeah, it's no big deal. Sure. But it takes at least 20 to 30 minutes of prep time. And I'm not talking about
It,
the
it,
researching or anything like that. I'm talking about just like getting everything started. And I am such a bitch about all of it. Like I just sit there and I'm like, hurry up, start, hurry up. Oh, what are you doing? I don't care about these updates. Just like it's so annoying. It's starting this thing up every show. It takes at least
did
10 to
somebody
15 minutes.
suggest in a comment that there's no prep time and you just grab a
No,
phone and go or something?
well, no, not really, but friends and stuff will. They'll be like,
Oh, the
yeah,
people who don't do it. Oh, okay,
right,
I got you.
right, yeah. People who don't do this at all have no idea. And we even at this, it's like such simple work as we do, and it's like, yeah, I just don't have the time to. I'm not gonna go do video editing, and I'm not gonna. No, it's not. No, I don't have the time for that. as I just said, I have kids, but I think it's even going to be even worse today because um, you're talking about like for me, I don't mind the snow. I don't mind whatever, but the allergies that come hit me, like especially when we have like these weird patches of like, hey, it's hot outside today. Tomorrow it's going to be freezing. I don't know, my allergies, the barometric pressure, all that crap. Just like right now, my right ear is ringing louder than my voice is talking. And these headphones make it worse. And yeah, I just get to be in such a mood doing it here.
And what we say, Jay, welcome to old age, you old crotchety bastard.
I'm still in my 30s.
It doesn't matter. You don't get it. I thought I was going to be young forever, and then I'm like, I'm not even that overweight. Why is it so hard to put my shoes on anymore?
I mean, I'm. If I died of COVID, people would be like, "Holy crap! It can happen to someone that old."
Yeah, exactly. And you do remember that people that are, you know, younger than 25 call you old now. I mean,
That's
there's
no,
not
no.
really a.
Look, yes, and I will be honest. Like my musical career ruined so much of not only my hearing but other parts.
Oh,
So
you and me both, dude.
for Christmas, I got a new guitar, and I got it's a Firefly Telecaster. And it's
You mean
funny.
you didn't get a Fender?
Well, I have a friend who actually has and this is my whole thing. What I was going to say, this purchase, as well as a few other things, have made me. I'm obviously I'm a big fan of. Hey, we need to bring jobs to America, but something happened in musical equipment in the last like 5 years, where you can get really inexpensive equipment that is really good quality, but it all comes from China, and it's made me think. You know, they can keep the manufacturing of musical equipment in China. Because so my friend he has a thin line Fender Telecaster. It's a
Mm-hmm.
$2,000 guitar. 2000, all day every day that guitar is $2,000. The one my wife bought me, which is a semi-hollow Telecaster, is a thin line, is not semi-hollow. This was $150 with shipping. um, we were messing around and like, okay, let's do a sound comparison. There's almost no difference. And like, we put mine through the rigorous tests of different sound effects to try to get like a lot of hum, to try to get a lot of like unwanted distortion, and just wasn't really happening. And it's a fast guitar. Like, even he was like, dude, this is good, if not a little bit better than my American-made Fender Telecaster. And I know if there's any guitar aficionados who are listening, they're going to be like, yeah, but with the 59 pickup is going to be better than. Sure,
Well,
maybe,
and
maybe.
maybe right, an H pickup, but I would say the thing that makes guitars easy is that the Chinese don't care about patents. And so if they've retro engineered exactly how a particular pickup or a manufacturing process was done, you're right. A Chinese, object can be just as good, especially when you're talking about electronics, a lot as much as, synthesis and guitar modulation and everything else we use today, those used to be high dollar items. Voice processors and preamps, you were looking at $150 for just a simple mic preamp. But now, and that works for a lot of things, which can be good in a sense that it can get people musically started a lot better and at a lower price range. And that actually works across the board with all kinds of creative, pieces, whether it be a soldering kit, whether it be, so there's definitely some pluses there
Do you know how much
when it
like
when
I
it comes.
mean, you know how much an American-made capture card would cost? You know what I mean? Like
Oh, right,
the
just like
Elgato, which is. I think it's still for me it's expensive because I think it's like 150, $200. I think it would be like 4 or 500 if we made it
Well,
here in America.
anytime you have like say a capture card or a video card or whatever, and even if it's an American company, say Apple, right? We say Apple's an American company. Apple has probably worse than most. Apple outsources, you know, most of that work to say Foxconn or to, other companies in China which produce it. Some companies that make individual cards like that, they usually have chips from about 8 different companies. They'll have a Sony, they'll have a Matsushita, and that does bridge the gap between many countries because you have one engineer makes a board, and then you have a logic guy that designs how all of these chips talk to each other and blah blah blah. So it's really hard to get away when you buy any kind of computer part to say it's all from China because a lot of times even the Chinese have to outsource a lot of these other components that go into it.
Right. All I'm saying is I don't, especially just with like musical instruments and the way that this works. Like number one, I know there's a ton of people who are like, well, American made is the best, and they're wrong. Like e- even I don't know. I would say like my favorite instrument, guitar wise, is the Schecter guitar, and that's Korean, baby. And that guitar is so much better than any of my friends' like Les Pauls or American made Strats. I mean, it blows them out of the water. It's so much
Well,
faster,
but that, even
cleaner.
it was me. If it was a microphone, and I was to say, "Oh, I want a German-made microphone," there was a Sennheiser, an AKG, or something. That stuff's not made in Germany. You know what I mean? They outsource their stuff to China as well. I mean, there's been rare, even okay. Say if you make some kind of circuit board to do some kind of thing for like a video game hack tool or a video processor, because I actually have some. I've got some that I ordered from France, and they were made in France. But guess where they had to have the circuit boards manufactured? So I mean, and then from the circuit boards, they do the solder work, and probably do the logic gate and chip programming. It's simpler stuff, but I mean, yeah, I mean, I like I've said before, I would cry if I had to pay licensing fees, for all my non-copyright Chinese products. There's definitely a bonus for your pocketbook, and it opens the door for people to have things without breaking the bank, especially when it comes to who's it hurting? Well, it's hurting the mega corporation, and they own like, oh well, I can get over that pretty quick.
Yeah, I actually support that now. No, I mean I believe in bringing manufacturing jobs to America, but it's like let's just pick and choose. Let's be smart about which manufacturing jobs because
Oh yeah.
yeah, if we're talking about the difference between $150 or $2,000, uh, yeah, that's gonna hurt the average American's economy way worse than than bringing those jobs back because there's a lot of us who could never afford a lot of stuff. And I think it's interesting because I
And if
remember,
things were considerably more expensive, I mean, I don't want to say this directly as it's proof, but via population, and this also goes with any misnomers that people have about like cops are dying every day, but no, cop deaths are way down. No matter what they tell you, the numbers are there for you by the FBI. Crime probably would go up if basic items and things like that were harder to find. Are you more apt to steal a guitar and break into somebody's place and it's $150, or if it's $2,000?
well, I mean, you can even look at just what's happening right now with the theft. Theft is on the rise like crazy
No,
because
because it's
people
so
have,
easy.
well, because people have money. Um, like grocery stores are reporting record amounts of people stealing
Right,
food.
right. That's
I mean,
true.
which is just it's disturbing. That's where we're at.
And
But
indirectly, it's almost like, like drug theft. If people don't have money for that, well, they'll steal packages from somebody's door, or the UPS or FedEx guy turns fucking criminal and starts not
I,
delivering
I don't
things
I don't
so
know
he can flip your PlayStation.
I don't know how I feel about like so. I have a few friends that are cops, and uh, one that was telling me that he was I think it was last week, and I don't remember what day it was. I think it was before Christmas, but he was telling me he was like, yeah, we were on and I forgot the name of it, um, booty patrol because they
Looking
call
for hookers?
no they call the porch pirates. They hunt porch pirates, but they're looking for the
Oh,
boot.
right. Okay, that
Yeah,
makes
it's
sense.
some stupid yeah whatever. But he was like, yeah, that's what we were doing today. And like part of me is like, should we really be paying for cops to be monitoring people's porches? Like, isn't there other stuff going on? Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Well, I
I
mean, I
don't
guess it
know.
could be a good thing if that's all they have to do. I mean, we do live in a small town.
Oh no,
So, I mean,
this is in Wichita.
okay, so town with over a quarter million people, 300,000.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, and I know what neighborhood they were
Yeah, I was
in.
about to say.
I mean, it.
I was about to say, I bet I know what neighborhoods too.
They weren't in 21st Street. They weren't.
They weren't over on Water Street, right?
No, no. They were in the neighborhood where the people, every person owns a mansion. By the way, who cares?
Yeah,
Screw
and you
those
and
people.
you better not go over 20 miles an hour through those neighborhoods either.
Yeah, no, they're serious about that.
Like north of the mall, through those neighborhoods.
Yeah, yeah, no, they have their own police department,
Uh-huh.
which I don't know how. I don't know. Essentially, those people, eh, for people who don't know what we're talking about. So, inside of Wichita, there is another town
Mhm.
that these people, these super super rich people, basically bought a town essentially, so that they could have their own police force and own fire department. That For me, that doesn't make sense how they're private, yet they're not private.
Yeah, you can drive through, and it's real crazy curvy. But if you speed, you will get busted.
Yeah, and it's their cops watching what they want them to do, but they are funded by our tax dollars. And it was just like all these rich people got together and were like, "Hey, we want we want our own private protection, but we don't want to pay for it. So how do we do this?" And they figured it out apparently. It's been that way since before I
Yeah,
was
it's
alive.
now I don't know, and I'm not saying that it is, but if property taxes are going to be something that they can't avoid, so if you get enough people with enough property in a certain amount of area and enough political sway, you could probably get them to justify a separate police station and fire department based on the amount of property or property taxes in a certain area.
Oh, I'm sure. And when I'm sure these people would have, I mean, they probably shit out that kind of money on a daily basis to buy themselves a police department, so it's not a big deal. But it's just the idea of like, if you got enough money and enough friends, you can just buy a town, and it's
Well,
your
yeah,
town.
and
Like,
there are places like that all over every big city. They're kind of like, they're not like, and they call themselves a separate city. It's like Newton. What the hell is North Newton? It's not a separate town. It's like, what are you, across some train tracks? And it's the area that surrounds a Christian university up here. And there is I promise, a visible and attitude difference between people who live like virtually across some train tracks.
oh
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
they're kind of, not to say that they're more democratic or more democratic, but more Democrat, but they're more of those people that wear sandals and socks together and all drive Subarus, and it's kind of weird.
It's we have. when you say across the tracks, it literally means across the tracks in this town.
Yeah, our
Uh,
our town logo is train track.
but I mean, as far as mentality too, like there's
It's a snooty area, and it's the thing is, it's not really that fancy houses over there. There are some nice houses.
here's the problem though. Yeah, like on one side we have the snooty rich people, but then on the other side we have the people who don't know how to clean their lawn. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
like I get it if you're poor, but take care of your shit. Like read a book every now and then. You can go to the library; it's free. Like, I mean, literally on the other side of tracks, there was a guy who he made mainstream media news. It was huge because he got caught having sex with a car.
it better been a sexy car.
I mean, that's the claim to fame on the other side. Do you ever watch Parks and Rec?
Yeah, yes, I've seen Parks and Rec.
Yeah, like our side is, where the show takes place, and North Newton is Eagleton, I think is what it's called, or I can't remember the other town, but that's how it is. And the fun part is it's all condensed into like what 20,000 people, 24,000 people.
Yeah, yeah. It's and of course the population goes up and down based on how many people are renting houses there in the college area.
Well, and literally, like I think Patrick Mahomes could throw a football across our town.
Yeah, it's not exactly a and it's not the it really is like there's a weird attitude, and I didn't know anything about it until moving here, and then people going, oh, they're people from North Newton, and you're just like, well, what does that mean? These houses don't look that much different from and they're like, oh, there's a difference.
Yeah,
They
no,
have
there
their own
is.
post office as well.
They do. Yeah. No, it's a weird dynamic. I know people who live on both sides, and they're each one of them has you know, um, an air about them, an air that they might have sex with a car, or one that they might look down on you if you don't own a type of car. So, you know.
You don't have a Range Rover? Well, I don't know about your Toyotas, but around here, we like to have our car in the shop every week.
Hey now, now don't go attacking Toyota. Toyota's the best car
No,
I've
no,
ever
no.
owned.
What are you talking about attacking Toyotas? I'm saying Toyotas are better cars. They
Oh,
have to have their car in the shop every week, as if they're bragging that their expensive car needs a lot of maintenance because it's so super. Range Rovers are pieces of shit. I want to let you know. It's just like owning a BMW. Boy, they're pretty, but have you ever known anyone who's owned an expensive BMW? They are in the shop. Brand new ones are in and out of the shop all the time for multi-thousand-dollar bills.
I've known a couple people. Most of like my friends, I always talk them out of buying expensive cars. I was like, dude,
You can get
you're just
you can get
throwing
an
your
old
money
Beamer and
away.
still sink a bunch of money into it the
I'm
same way.
sure. I'm sure. It makes no sense to me, honestly. I've never been a car person. Of course, you
I'm a
know
car
that.
person when it comes to dependability and function.
Yeah, yeah. I think I've talked about this. I have I filled my gas tank 4 times this year. That's how much I drive my car. I'm proud of that stat, by the way. And I know people, oh, well, it's COVID. No, it would have been that way. My life has not
Yeah, I mean
really changed
you got a
since
lot of stuff
COVID.
pretty close too. You got the grocery. Well, your grocery store is just as close as mine. We
Uh,
could literally just walk there if we needed to.
well, and I'm halfway a North Newtonian because I discovered that DoorDash will shop for you and bring it to you, and it's only an extra like $20, and so of course I've been doing that a lot.
Oh, you're just so lazy.
um, it's so nice though. Like I hate the grocery store. I hate city, like especially there again in our town. I don't know how many times I'll run into somebody that I know, and the first thing they say to me, you don't have to wear that mask. Literally, we just walked through a door that said you have to wear a mask.
Yeah,
Like,
they didn't start enforcing it till recently.
I mean, God, you idiots. Like, it, it can be like, so one of my good friends, like the last time, this is just a few days ago, I went into a local grocery store. It's owned by Kroger. Anyway, I'm in there, and my friend, who he is an Atlanta Falcons fan. He has been ride or die Atlanta Falcons, and he's wearing an Atlanta Falcons jersey. If you don't follow football, the Falcons suck this year, and
And they lost the other day,
and my Seahawks beat the
fourth
crap out of
quarter.
them like earlier. Yeah, they did actually. Um, in fact, this might have been Sunday. But anyway, I was giving him crap about my Seahawks beating them, and like it would just like it was all focused on COVID. The entire conversation, he just wanted to talk about COVID and how it's not real, how the election's not real, how Hugo Chavez owns Dominion, and and I kind of just walked away. I'm like, you idiot. Because I even asked him, I said, so you think like Hugo Chavez bought Dominion, or how do you think that? And he's like, well, everyone knows that, yeah, that he bought it just right before the election. Cool. All right, man. I'm checking out on this conversation. Do you know that Hugo Chavez has been dead for years?
It's his grandparent. Or no, wait. Yeah.
That's like, shut up. You idiot. Go put go put your dick in a tailpipe and get put on, news later on. I don't,
Maduro just inherited it. Okay.
oh yeah, because they're all good buddies too. Even though in this last stimulus bill we allocated, I don't know, a couple, what, 10, 15 million dollars to overthrow Maduro. Yeah. But we're still
That wasn't
friends.
enough, man.
We're all still friends. Oh, it's ridiculous. But anyway, though, I guess as we are talking about the COVID, we do have some COVID news.
Do
Um,
we?
yeah, we keep doing the amazing things, and we broke another record yesterday. 337 deaths, 37,000 deaths, I should say. Um, I think, I think if I remember right,
Somebody's getting a trophy. I don't know.
I think COVID has now killed more people than all but one war. I don't
Oh
know.
no. Oh no. Well, World War One and World War Two killed. No.
Americans?
A lot more. Yeah.
Americans?
Yeah. American lives. I have to think about how many American lives were lost in that. Yeah,
I
I don't have those numbers, but totality, if you
Oh
go for the
no,
world
no,
population,
dude, I don't. We don't care about the world population.
okay, I'm down.
Besides, I think most of the deaths related to COVID are associated with America anyway. But yeah, no, I don't know which one. I think we're only a short amount away from COVID being a bigger killer than um I think it's World War II, I think. And
That's possible for this. It's possible, yeah.
we also, though, sadly, we did lose a senator, senator elect, I guess, Luke Letlow.
Just just about. So get sworn in.
Yeah, a 41-year-old dude out of Louisiana. He passed away yesterday. It's kind of a messed up story. I feel bad for his family because he had a 3-year-old and 11-month-old. The one thing I was gonna say though is, dude's 41 and he was going to have or he had an 11-month-old. Dude got started late in life, like I'm 36 or 37. I'm considered an old dad, and one of my kids is 8. Like, granted, my other one's like 6 months, but still, like this dude got started really late in life. Um,
Yeah, I mean, my sister's kids, her youngest is going to graduate from high school in a year or two.
it's weird though too because like when you hear, this guy, he's 41, and you kept hearing he's so young. He's just so young. I think like when people see that, they kind of react in a way where they're like, oh crap, people healthy, it does happen. Some people are dying who are healthy and younger. But like here in Harvey County, for instance, we had a COVID death of somebody who was between 10 and 19 years old. Like it happens, we're just not paying attention, And like again, I don't blame you for not paying attention because good lord, if you're just staring at your phone or whatever looking for COVID news for the last 8 months, then I'd be surprised if you're still alive. Like at this point, you just would have hung yourself or decided you've had enough of their quackery. Uh,
Yeah, I do think that kid had some serious health issues, though. I did see that.
where did you see it? Because I saw nothing on it. I just saw the mark
It
that
was
he
a, it was
died.
a it was a boy, right?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I think it was. He had some issues. He was very overweight and some other issues. I think even some developmental issues. So, and that's another thing to take into perspective. I don't know if we've got United States numbers on that, but how the disabled population, especially people who rely on state money and state care, or secondhand state care, contracted state care, how they have fared in this deal, because they really do get substandard care. And it is very difficult to deal with people depending upon their inherent disability, but I bet the numbers are pretty
Oh,
sad.
I'm sure, definitely. And I think that's the other thing, like with this, with Luke Letlow, that is also kind of shocking. It's like this dude had the best care. I mean, he was
Right.
getting remdesivir. He was at the best hospital that they could have in Louisiana, which I know isn't great because it's Louisiana, but still,
Yeah. Poor
it's like taking
Louisiana.
shots at Louisiana. Um, but no, I mean, and it still wasn't enough. Like it sometimes happens, and it's kind of shocking. The other thing I thought, and it's incredibly sad when anyone dies, but the one thing that like the reporting on this that I learned that I was like, it made me go out loud, holy shit, is they were talking about the bright side of the COVID situation, and that we got vaccines coming out and they're being unrolled and blah blah blah. And like for anyone who's like, well, I'm not going to take her back, I don't care. Shut up. Like this
Yeah,
has
no,
nothing to do with
I
you.
even I'm not going to
This is
stand in line because there's probably people who need it before me. But
yeah.
in a short amount of time, if you're not paranoid, they're going to be available at your local Walgreens. So I
Maybe.
mean,
So no, check this out though. This is what. So we've done 2 million in 2 weeks, right? How long do you think it's going to be until we're at herd immunity? At this
well,
rate.
there's some assumptions you're making there, and the one of the assumptions is that it doesn't mutate seriously enough. Like they say, the new mutation is more. They don't say it's more dangerous, but it spreads easier.
Right.
Okay. Well, yeah, but they said that the vaccine has the exact same effect on it and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, we're talking about 350 million people, and let's just cut out 20 million to say those are the people who are like, I ain't taking no vaccine causes autism or something
Probably
like that. So
probably higher than that, but yeah,
you
okay.
okay? We'll give it 50. How about that? We'll give the crazy 50. And then, so, if 2 million in 2 weeks, well, that just means that it's going to take. Let's see, can we do that math? Take a hundred and 150 more weeks.
No, because that would only be
I'm sorry, not 150 more weeks. Damn, that was hard. 15 more 2 week periods.
no, because we're doing a million a week. We need
Right.
300 million.
Well, two 15-week periods is 30 weeks, which is 300 million
No,
at a
that's
million a week.
oh
Yeah, it is.
Scott. No, it's not.
A
30
million a week.
a million at 30 weeks is 30 million.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. Well, you
I,
call me
I,
next year and we'll see. Look, I was trying to be positive, man. You're freaking people out here.
I wish I could laugh louder. Like my newborn or infant is asleep in the next room, so I can't. Oh, Jesus, that was no.
Well,
'Cause honestly, that's the same kind of mistake I would make. No, but like
I can't
that's
remember. It's like you just. I forgot it was my best, not my personal best. And believe it or not, I do math pretty well. It's just it's really cold out here, and I should probably have some Christmas drugs. But I was. Do you remember? And this is kind of it's not directly COVID related, but when they were giving out the first stimulus, and they were discussing how much it was going to no, it was before the first stimulus. They were talking about Bloomberg. What was it? Some huge number about how he spent. Oh damn it! Anyway, there was a newscaster that was talking about if they had just split up that money between it was a 300 something or $375 million. She said you could give every American
oh
$1 million.
yeah, yeah.
And I
I
was like,
do remember that.
what
Yeah.
are you, there's 375 of us? What's going on? I must misunderstand the people I see every day.
No, and it comes at you. No, it's but
So at least I only missed 1 0, damn it, because other people they miss a lot of zeros.
but no, no. The disturbing thing is 10 years. I was thinking couple years. I was like maybe 2 years. 10 years if they keep it this rate. Now, granted, they've all said no, they're really gonna up this up, and look, it'll probably be like the PlayStation 5. Remember
Now
PlayStation
wait. Now your math is bad. So if we need 300 weeks, how many weeks are in a year? 56.
52,
So that 52, right?
56?
Hey, sometimes I get an extra month. Shut the hell up. So, uh, but if that's the case, then in a week, that's 4 extra years. I mean, 6 extra years.
Yeah, and they're including the probably some of the 50. Look, all she said was 10 years. I didn't even do the math on it to be honest, but you're right, maybe 6, 7 years, whatever. But again, they all say it's gonna come out quicker, and I think, um, you know,
Yeah, I did get
I
that
think
right. I did it in my head again.
it,
6 years.
it's gonna be a like a PlayStation
No,
5 thing, where it's
it,
like, oh man, we're not gonna get it for a year or two, and then
yeah.
they get to moving, they get stuff going, and then all of a sudden, oh, actually it'll be available quicker than you think, and we'll be, so but still, I think the realm of possibility of it being a year before we're back, I think that's probably pretty safe to assume.
Oh,
Which,
like our position in the queue.
yeah, and like just where people are more comfortable, I guess, in assuming that everyone has it or that most people have
You're
it.
just wanting to be the guy who does the triage stuff where you go, look, you're old and stupid. You know what? And then the 20-year-olds are like, you guys are old and stupid. And
Uh, and I'll be honest too, I'm one of those people too that's like when I really think about it, uh, I mean, look, I'll get the vaccine, but I'm not gonna lie, like there's two things. One, I will have an EpiPen, and two, like I will be thinking like, man, what if something does happen in like 5 years? Because that's the thing I'm worried about is the side effect 5 to 10 years from now. Like, does it like
I'm more worried about will it make my ADHD worse?
can that happen?
I don't know. You don't know if it can make people autistic. Hell, in a week I could be just
I
babbling
know,
like an
I'm
idiot in
not.
the corner.
See, I'm not worried
Not that
about.
that's a different thing.
I'm not worried about like that kind. What I'm worried about is like it'll have an effect like on your liver or kidney or something. Like, I doubt it.
You're
I
starting. You're
highly
starting to
doubt it.
sound like crazy man now.
No, I know. Like I said, I highly, highly doubt it. But I do think it's weird that they won't give it to kids.
Well, it's that's based on the dosage and based on that children, for the most part, don't need it. Like the amount of if you immunized all the children, the death rate would probably be exactly the same because
Yeah,
children's
fair
immune
enough, fair
systems
enough.
respond to it. So it really would be a waste to give it to kids. Now, obviously, I'm the first one if it was like polio or those kind of
Yeah, yeah.
diseases. But with this one, remember this is a variant of the common coronavirus is a flu virus, and you don't hear about kids dying very often unless they're already in the hospital and they're intubated and they get some kind of flu virus and have complications. You don't hear about flu deaths
Not all the
very much
time.
unless
We had
yeah,
a
no, I'm not
we had
saying
like
none of
what
things
a
happen.
we had like what a 5-year-old last year die of the flu. That was
Yeah,
all over the place.
and I'm sure there were some complications there because normal healthy children don't have a problem unless it was like
No,
Bubble Boy,
no, it was a
unless
he
they
was
had an
a
immuno issue.
he was a normal healthy kid. My kid went to school with him. He was completely fine. But I forgot he died. My wife brought it up because she was looking for information on this COVID kid that died around here. And she was like, how come I can't find anything about that? The 5-year-old that died of the flu, that was all over the place. I can't find anything.
Well, and there's going to be those few anomalies of it's like the one kid that didn't realize he was allergic to peanut butter,
Well,
and
no, no. Or here's a better example. And this is real. And a lot of people, it scares people. But um, so this is a weird stat, but 4 people have died at Slipknot concerts from cardiac arrest.
is that all?
No,
Really? I
from
was.
from
What about ICP?
no, from cardiac arrest they've died,
Oh,
and
yeah, but
they were all in their 20s.
and were they
Relative.
all like, hey, look, what's this stuff? Well, they call it meth, but we're going to call it
No,
sugar tips this
no.
time.
These people were relatively healthy. Had came out clean toxicologies.
Oh, I'm
Like, I
I
mean,
can grumble, grumble.
outside of like weed and, but the thing is, like, it happens. The dude I did radio with for the longest time, one of his buddies, just passed away in his sleep. He was like
So,
31, 32, cardiac
and
arrest.
it and
It
not that I've
happens.
ever done coke before, but if you've got fancy enough friends that they can afford coke, you could you never know. It's like those football players that like play football all their lives, and all of a sudden they're seniors and they fall over dead on the field,
Yeah,
and they
yeah.
had an undetectable a congenital heart defect that nobody saw. It's the same thing with like cocaine. Somebody's like, it won't ever kill you, but it's that one guy who has a heart attack. So there's always those
Um,
anomalies. There's enough
or
people to go around.
a good one. A couple good. Um, my guitar player. He, I was working, and I got a message. I was in a band. In this band, I was one of 3 guitar players. I got a message while I was at work, and it was
Boy,
like,
that sounds like a fun argumentative band.
"Oh no, it was fun. We would do triple harmonies all the time. Like, we were like the guitar kings of this area because we were all like hot shots. But
Sorry, I'm still thinking like a lead singer, and
we all loved playing harmonies off each other. But I got a message and it's like, hey, your guitar player died at the bar tonight. I'm like, what the crap? And I swore it was my cousin because my cousin's a big, or was a big alky partier. He's the type of, and no shit, he would walk into a bar and within 5 minutes, at least 2 women flash their boobs at him. Like, that's who my cousin is. And I swear it was him, but it was actually my clean, sober guitar player who had died. And he had an aneurysm out of nowhere. Just died right there on the floor.
wow, aneurysm, shit.
Yeah, like this stuff happens. Like,
Yeah, no, it does. You get a blockage. There's or the people who go to the lake. We're like talking about like crazy deaths. Like around here, well, around a lot of places that have had algae problems and blooms, and little does everyone know you have a deadly form of staphylococcus right now
mm,
in your nasal passageway. And in most dirt, I'm just talking like dirt, out in your yard or out at the lake, there are bacteria there that are normally there that if you have an open wound and you get some of that bacteria and your body's defenses are unable to fight it well, will eat your body alive in a matter of days.
this is why I don't go outside.
Well, see, I'm just more worried about going out and going, hey, is that a Kodiak bear? Shit, he looks mad.
This is why I paid DoorDash 20 extra bucks to do my shopping.
Hey, do you want some of this lake mud? Why don't you rub it in your wound real quick right now?
Be fine. Don't worry about it. That blue-green algae, it's good for you. No, but
Uh,
I do, yeah, I do feel really bad though for I guess Senator-elect Letlow. I don't know. I was kind of thinking it's sad. Like this is the most and only coverage this guy will ever get. Like that's it.
yeah, think of how long though he worked, and being a senator at 40 is not a young jump in. Probably a little earlier than average, I would say, for some
I think
senators.
so. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
and he, maybe this is my time to make some, to help make changes for the better. And
I bet you,
you know,
yeah, 10 years he was like, I'm gonna be running for president. I bet you he had all of that in his
in an
mind.
alternate dimension, we'll get Jet Li to when he's done being the one. Now, if you haven't seen that movie, you have no idea what I'm talking
No
about.
clue, no clue. I don't watch
No,
Jet.
you haven't seen that?
I don't watch those.
Oh, well, Jet Li. Well, God, you want to talk about a sad story? Jet Li went from just like 15 years ago being like, he's like 5'3", but he's the freaking Superman. Was like, he was one of those pills you're like, I want to see him fight Chuck Norris and Chuck Norris's prime, kind of thing. Jet Li was awesome, but something physiologically happened with him. He looks like he's 85 now. He looks horrible, like something happened. But he did a movie where
He's one of those people, and I don't really watch their movies. They're ugh.
well, he's not as I like Jet Li a lot more than I used to love Jackie Chan, but Jackie Chan is extremely pro CCP, like turn in your neighbor, please, pro CCP. He does propaganda stuff for the communist government. So me and Jackie Chan aren't friends anymore.
Hey, he has to.
But he no, he doesn't have to. He could have been an American and been rich, but instead,
Well,
he's like
rich.
hardcore pro CCP, like beyond what
Well,
even.
yeah, but okay, but like, hold up one second. By the way,
He's like the Mel
when I
Torme of
when I said those people, I meant '90s stars.
Oh yeah.
I don't watch '90s movies. But anyway, no,
Well,
like, think
the
about
Jet
it
Li
though.
movie is he has to kill. There's like so many dimensions, like 60 some odd. I just say 60 is a random number. There's like 60 dimensions, and each dimension there's a Jet Li, and he every time he jumps a dimension, he kills his doppelganger and doubles his like kick-ass power. I mean, it's that simple. And so they're on a mission. Then it's
He
our Jet Li. So
he
this
gets
rogue Jet Li
he gets that message
zones into our dimension, and it's an epic fight.
every time he kills somebody. Doo-doo-doo-doo. He gets
Yeah,
upgraded.
it's basically Highlander of himself.
Oh man.
Here we
So
are.
he had some sort of illness though, where like he's old looking now.
Oh man, yeah, he had
That makes
some
me
kind of.
it just makes me happy because in high school, my girlfriend had the biggest crush on Jet Li. Like, yeah, see, you should have stuck with me instead of trying to chase Jet Li.
I would have just thrown some of those Asian tropes at her, like, look at Asians downstairs, like, just go with that. She's like, oh, he's so hot. He could kick your ass and my
Yeah,
ass at the same time.
yeah, but
But
she would have
so,
been like, yeah, but look at you downstairs.
yeah,
Like,
I'd
well,
be
all
like,
right.
please don't hit me anymore, Jet Li. I know you're only 5'5", but I don't like you doing backflip kicks over my back of my skull.
Well, no, but it's like, what do I got to offer? I can't kick ass, and I'm not packing down there. So, I mean,
I don't know, man. I can bite pretty hard. I don't know about you, but I gnaw your damn nose off.
it's fine though. She gained like 200 pounds, so
Yeah, that's usually what happens.
yeah.
Did you ever go to a high school reunion? I have
No,
never done that.
no,
And
and
I
I
had,
won't. I won't.
and I'll say this: I was popular, but not because I was a sporto. I just like I was in a band, and so that helped. And I just didn't give a shit. I was one of those guys, just like I don't give, I just didn't give a shit. I was, I had teachers that loved me, hated me. I was a loudmouth in class, but a good student most of the time. And so it was kind of like that. You get some of the hot girls, and you kind of party with the beer drinkers, but the sport guys don't like you, and the tennis guys are weird anyway. And yeah, they had tennis at my high school, so you couldn't pay me enough to go to a high school reunion because it'd just be weird. I would be fine aesthetically. I'd be like, I'm 44. I'm still alive. I have all my hair. I'm married. You know, I got video games. Fuck you.
I just feel like I'm not friends with those people to begin with, so
No,
I wouldn't hang out with
you got
them
nothing
because
to prove. I
I'm
don't have
not
anything to
I'm
prove. I
not
don't
like
care what happened to those
if I
people.
wanted to see them, I would contact them on Facebook or whatever. But I mean, I barely liked them in high school, and I was pretty popular as well, but like for a different there again the band thing, and we played a lot in the area, so like
Yeah,
we
we
would
were bad. We were horrible, but we looked cool.
we were actually good, but
Oh,
and
shut up.
that's where we got like popular at school because it would be like, oh, which our band name was Somber, like, oh, they're gonna be at
You
Ozfest
know what
this
my
year.
band's name was in high school? Shovel.
Shovel.
Yeah, Shovel. Can you dig it, baby?
Oh God, that's so douchey.
It wasn't douchey at the time, dude. It wasn't douchey at the time. Shut your face.
But yeah, we were getting like we could get people tickets to the Warp Tour because like, oh, the Warp Tour is showing up. We're gonna be playing on like stage 6 or so, but we still were playing there, and yeah, they gave us enough. But I didn't like those people. Like I didn't like any of them. I mean, and you know this area. I mean, it's Christian. It's just like
Well, it
milk
was the same way
toast
where I was in
people.
Texas.
You know, I mean, ugh. Anyway, though, we should probably talk about the checks that may or may not or
So I have a
somewhat.
question about the check.
Which ones?
So I've seen something in the news that said, like, calculate how much you're going to get, between like $600 and $2,000. And and I'm like, calculate.
It's the
I thought
same.
it was a flat payment.
It is.
I guess
Well,
it's talking about
okay,
with you
so
and your family and your.
yeah, I mean, I think that's part of it, but I also like the ones that were guaranteed right now is that $600 per person, which, as we all know, it's going to your sidewalk. For me, it's gonna buy me a tenor banjo. Um,
What he means is that the evil city has decided to mark 3 squares in the middle of January when no one will service because it will freeze and bust the concrete.
it will.
So I have to pay someone and then go pay for an extension that I'm going to do it myself when I have no intention to do it myself, and have the contractor use that extension without his name on it to come do it when it's time to do it, because we have a Karen in my neighborhood that has decided to not do it on both sides of the streets, just on a particular walk path, which apparently includes my sidewalk, which is not bad, by the way.
I,
And yeah, and I'm really in, or even our local crap paper did a little story on the fact that it's been about 10 and 20 in the past couple of years. This year alone, they've done, somebody has anonymously marked for the city over 100 houses.
you just saw me like out earlier this year, just marking people's sidewalks because I'm a douche. it was just,
You don't even have to mark them.
It was
I
just
think it's
me
like you report.
walking
Yeah, and
around
it does. You could
Scott's
go get
yard.
yeah, you can't even find out who it is because it is a serious anonymous submission. And I'm just like, now I see people walking around the neighborhood, and it's a mix that you wouldn't, because I live next to a homeless shelter, and I know it's not any of those guys at the homeless shelter that give a rat's ass about somebody's sidewalk.
Nah, they're
It's
good
probably
people.
some Karen walking around here with her Doberman, and because we have a couple of those. Like, what are you? It's like they look like a housewives of L.A. and they're walking with their husband. It looks like an OG, but he's a white guy, and you're like, who the fuck are you? And I know it's those people. My Doberman tripped over your crack.
That
Your
makes
Doberman,
that's so repugnant. Although I do find it, the joy I do get though of you complaining about it is pretty high though, because it's funny to me. Just so
well,
angry.
when you're
No, and the
concrete
thing
guy,
is, like, I get it. I totally get it, but it's still funny.
it even look, the people, I've had a couple people come out for different service. I got to get a cap. I have 100-and-something-year-old house. I got to get a cap, a metal box built around my chimney because it's so old that even if you seal it, around the flashing on the roof, for those of you, the plate metal you put around the things that come up out of your roof around the shingles, you can't seal it because the bricks and the concrete mortar are so old, they separate. from the brick. So it basically has to be boxed in or my roof will continue to leak. And I've got a brand new roof and it leaks. You gotta love that shit.
No, I mean you're going into all the reasons why I don't want to buy a house. Like I know
Yeah,
there's some really good ones. I know, like for one, your house is probably 3 times bigger than mine, probably. Because I mean, you got a huge garage. You got at least 2 stories. What you got, like 4 bedroom?
I have a one car garage that's a little bit wider than normal, and I built this with my bare hands. So let me tell you, it all I had before here was a screened in porch, but
Oh,
the
that's
slab was here, so I didn't have to get anything cleared to erect another structure where there already was one.
oh, that's impressive. But you do have what, like a 4 story or a 4 bedroom?
4 story house,
Four
man.
bedroom.
You must think we have one master bedroom with no heat in it because the radiators don't go into that room, and I have two small upstairs offices, which would make like small child's bedrooms. One's a
They
theater room, and one's
yeah.
my computer room, and then a bathroom between them, and then a tiny thin staircase that goes downstairs to a large living room, and then tiny kitchen and a half basement.
That's like a
So
three.
it's smaller than you think.
They would consider that a 3 bedroom house, by the way. Um,
I would consider it like one and a half if you saw how small those rooms were.
if you let's see, in mine is a one in, I would say one in. If it was you who was measuring it, see, they say mine is three bedroom, but it's not. It's two and then a half bedroom. And if it was you who was measuring it, you would say, well, you got like a total of 2 bedrooms. So my
Yeah,
son's
no,
my son's
actually,
room is tiny.
I would say that for yours and mine because the two little office spaces that split between my upstairs bathroom would make up barely one bedroom.
Yeah, see, that's yeah, no, that's the situation I got. But um, a
Children don't need big cages though.
pretty small bed, pretty small living room, pretty small dining room, and a decent kitchen. But I pay 900. I pay 900 a month. I
Yeah,
bet.
that's a lot more than a mortgage for a
Yeah, I
house like
was
this.
that exactly right. But it's all these other things, which is like where I pay more a month. But if stuff breaks, I just call someone and they fix it.
Well, only time I
If the
call is when
city
I
came
can't
by,
fix it, and I do a lot of stuff around here.
yeah, see, I don't have time for that. Well, I have time, I just don't. I'm too lazy. I'm too lazy to shop for myself, let alone.
Well, it makes it easier when you call for something because then you don't have to describe. And my wife's pretty handy, but yeah, I have to explain to her a lot of times why what I'm doing is is completely viable and this is how this works. And she'll argue until I fix it the way that I said, and then she'll be like, "Oh, I guess it did work."
Yeah, I don't even know. I don't. Honestly, if I just like, I call my landlord and I'm like, the house isn't cold anymore. What? Well, I have the air conditioner on and it's not cold. It should be at 68 and it's not. And she's
Yeah.
like, well, it's the winter. You shouldn't have the air conditioner on. I'm like, I'm hot. So you need to fix it. And she goes, I hate you, but no one else will pay $900 a month. So
Yeah, I was about to say.
no. Anyway, stimulus checks. So yeah, we are for sure gonna get that 600, and basically everyone who got it last time will get it. Apparently, we are told that we should be on our knees thanking Bernie Sanders and Josh Hawley for at least letting this happen, even though both of them are adamantly fighting Mitch McConnell right now because they want $2,000 checks. And so does Trump. It was interesting. I had this conversation with my sister this weekend, and this was Sunday, and they were real worried that the stimulus wouldn't pass at all. And I was reassuring them. I was like, "Look, it's going to happen. For one, the Senate has the votes to overwrite Trump's veto, and they want to have a stimulus on board before the Georgia runoffs. So it's going to happen." And I had to break it down. Like, interesting enough with the $2,000 checks, though, that is being talked about, or I guess at this point now it'd be $1,400 checks, is it's Donald Trump and the Democrats versus Mitch McConnell and the Republicans. And even that isn't fair because a sizable amount of Republicans actually turned out and were like, no, I'd vote for this $2,000 check too.
Yeah, there were quite a few Republicans.
I mean, I think about a third of them, which is, look, I know for people who are on the other side who are like, that's ridiculous. Yeah, honestly though, if this was a Hillary Clinton president, there would be none. It'd be zero. Well, it would probably be Rubio and Hawley, and that's about it. And the rest would be no. Like, it's a different Republican Party than what we're used to, and so many of them, I think, are realizing a couple things. Like, one, it makes you think about how good Donald Trump could have been. And I mean that in the fact that if Donald Trump got behind the right things, or maybe continued to be behind the right things throughout his presidency, he could have really changed the Republican Party in more of his image. The problem is, though, is Donald Trump in a lot of ways was just too emotional. I mean, he is, and I'll probably get in trouble for this, but they used to always say, in fact, not even that long ago, in fact, in 2016, there was a certain group of people who'd be like, oh, I wouldn't vote for a woman for president because they're too emotional and they don't think logically. That's Donald Trump. It's too goddamn emotional. And it makes you realize like how much he could have changed things. And I think that's what's interesting and almost it's like we actually got really close to having a really great president with Trump, but he let the swamp kind of run all over him, and then he got emotional, and and this is one of those weird situations where him being vindictive and emotional is actually kind of good because a lot of people are saying, well, actually, our biggest problem is just Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell is the one who doesn't want to give $2,000 stimulus checks out to people. And, there's that argument. Yeah, well, it's going to be an extra $464 million. And
Well, it's kind
it,
of hard to blame him for being vindictive after RussiaGate.
well, Mitch didn't have anything to do with that. But
Well,
it,
no, but I'm just saying generally his emotion level.
I mean, he's always been that way, though. I mean, it's who he was in the election. Like, but he went back, and there again, this is one of those times where like Donald Trump being Donald Trump was actually a really good thing when they said, oh, it's going to be $646 million more, or 660 $464 million more for the $2,000 checks, and Donald Trump replied, so that's still less than the 500 million that you sent overseas. And it's true. We,
Yep.
you know, without a doubt. And people have been complaining about that and arguing about that this entire time. Like when we have the neocons and the neolibs working together, which is the Schumers and the McConnells, they make sure that their deep state buddies in the military gets all this money. And there's no talk about inflation. There's no talk about oh, we have all the money to go to our military. When it actually comes to normal people, first they guilt us and say, well, this stimulus is just gonna raise inflation through the roof. Like, well, how come it doesn't do that when we're paying Raytheon 600-700 million? Isn't that a stimulus itself? Why isn't that? No, oh, well, we can't talk about that. What do you want the terrorists to win? And then of course well, we can't afford it, and all of these conversations that are being had, and I think there's enough people who are stepping back and being like, well, why? This seems ridiculous. And you got to give it to old Donnie T, because without him, a lot of people wouldn't have stopped back and said, well, this is stupid. In fact, I think, to be honest, I think there's a lot of people on the Republican side who are actually rethinking how much money we spend in the military. It's like that has been one of those bridges too far thing. What was it? In fact, Bernie Sanders beat everyone to the gate on this one 6 months ago when he said we should cut military spending by 10% and give it to the American people. And people, that's a socialist for you. That's what socialists do. And now Donald Trump is like, yeah, no, we should actually probably do that.
Well, we
Essentially,
can do that because we don't need the same kind of personnel that we used to.
we could have done that 2 years ago. Like, we don't need any of the I mean, we really don't. We don't need the amount that we have. We don't need to be all over the. And we continue every year dumping another 10 to 5 to 10% into the military. Over for what? Nothing. You know. But
Reduce
it's
our presence in places overseas where we don't need to have one, or
right.
not enforcing some kind of corporate plan.
Yeah. I mean, there again, like we just talked about with Venezuela, just jokingly, but it's true. We literally in the stimulus bill there is $15 million that is directed to Venezuelan democracy. What do you think that means? It's $15 million to overthrow Venezuela. That's what that is.
Or to keep their oil.
I mean, how about $10 million or $15 million to Americans and you leave Venezuela alone? How about that?
At 15 million, will at least build a couple hospitals.
Yeah, I mean, or put it to I don't care what they do with it, but how about not spending our money overseas in countries that don't even want us there and don't need us there anymore? There was a whole thing about um there was a gender
It was a
uh,
gender. It's basically to try to influence Afghanistan backwards, how they treat women, kind of thing.
yeah. Now,
Yeah, and that's not going to happen. That culture's a little bit older than America.
not, no, I mean, and who says they want it to happen for one,
And who says that's important right now?
right?
God,
And who the hell are we to be the ones who are like, well, that's what we should do? And
I
it
mean, if we
makes,
want to criticize their culture, let's do it from afar. Let's not get involved like that.
and also, how are they doing this? You know that this is another military project. It just is. I know that.
It's a reason to have personnel there, huh?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Well, they got to pass out some pamphlets.
No, no. You know what? You're not wrong on that. That sounds ridiculous and stupid, but I know enough soldiers who have talked about just some dumb stuff that they've done. In fact, one of my friends was in Iraq, and he was like, "Yeah, for like 3 months, I was a glorified paper boy." Really? That's where our tax dollars are going? Oh, by the way, here's a good one for you. You'll like this. So, some people might remember I am a business owner. I got a first class letter today. Real big thing. The big seal of Kansas on there. And I was like, oh no. Because usually that means I owe money or they want to do some kind of audit. And I was like, oh, great. I open it up. Here's what Kansas wanted to let me know that they would help or they would pay for lawyers for me if I wanted to dispute any of my employees' COVID claims. That's essentially what the whole thing said. If I had an employee who missed a couple weeks and I had to pay them due to the Family Medical Leave Act, I had to pay them for 2 weeks. Well, the state of Kansas is saying we'll cover your lawyer fees so you can dispute that. Really?
You think,
I mean,
you think they
come
do that for
on.
any other, claims? No.
It's the most ridiculous thing because it's not about me. It's about Kroger. It's about Walmart. It's so the states are paying for lawyers for companies to fight with employees who have COVID claims. Who cares? I mean, I've got 4 employees. If one of them had COVID, you know what? I'm making them work in this time. If they get sick, it's the least I can do to pay 2 weeks off. Big deal. Yeah, and yet And again, all small businesses, that's exactly how they're ran. That's how people live in small business. This isn't for small businesses. This is for Walmarts. This is for the big companies. And that's just another thing to notice. And like especially when you hear people like Nancy Pelosi, who's like, "Oh, the stimulus needs more money to the given to the states." Well, if the states are doing crap like this, no. I don't want my taxes to go to pay the lawyers of a big corporation to just harass, some, blue collar worker. That's ridiculous. It, and there
Yeah,
again,
it
this is
really is meant for the big stores. I mean, I'm sure, especially stores that obviously, if unless the person says, "Man, I sure did have fun at that spring bake gathering of 50,000 people off of Long Island." Other than that, there are probably lots of people who contracted COVID on the clock.
I'm sure a majority of them, and even then, like even if they weren't, I mean, the paradigm of a small business, and it's like one of your employees gets sick. Hey, man, I got COVID. I just got the results. Uh, I don't think I'm gonna make it in, or I have to take
I don't think. Please
two
don't come
weeks.
in.
Yeah, I have to take 2 weeks off. The business owners always be like, well, dude, we'll work something out, man. I don't want you to be in trouble. Like, and I'm sure there's some that aren't, that are complete sticklers and whatever. Even then, if you said, look, to your boss, to the owner, if you don't pay me, then I'm going to take you to court, and I will, family medical leave your butt. They look at it and they say, what am I paying this guy anyway? $10 an hour. So what, 600, 700 bucks, or I go to court. I'll just pay the, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's so much
Right. Or
easier.
if you're getting an attorney, you're looking at least a $700, $1,000 retainer.
Yeah, exactly. Now, granted, the state has said, hey, we will pay for that. But even then, who wants to deal with all that stuff? Especially if you're navigating a business right now in this time, no, I'll just pay my employee. It's fine. I- It's it's so much easier. But again, if you're Walmart, if you're one of the big corporations, yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense because that's a lot of money. It's a lot of employees. And
Yeah, and they'll probably have uh, they have pre-prepared teams of corporate lawyers ready to have fun with that.
yeah, I'm sure like with this ultimate, I bet you can work this into a massive tax deduction for them. Is ultimately what it'll be, because they'll cover it, but then they'll write it off on their taxes since the states
It'll be
say
called
that
the
they'll paid
COVID
for it.
fraud tax relief.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, and again, this is when they say money for states, this is the example I've gotten out of it. I know there are legitimate things that the fire department, police department, trash men, things like that. I know those are important. But look, if you're going to do these stimulus bills, as you should, stop being so dirty about it. Stop putting in this just disgusting over waste of bloated systems that we don't want and need. We need just give us freaking money, give the cops money, the
Yeah, and don't
teachers
and
money.
don't tie stimulus bills politically to defense bills.
Yeah, yeah, and that's on Mitch McConnell because that's what happened with this $2,000 thing. He got, and honestly, I think I've said this before about McConnell. I look at him like I look at like the coach for the New England Patriots, Bill Belichick. I hate him. I really do, but I respect like the game that they have, the strategy. And this was one hell of a strategy by McConnell, because I do think, you know, he has in there the 230 thing, which is it's a protection law for tech companies. It's actually for all companies, but it really, or no, it's not.
To
It's only
repeal 230, by the way,
right, right, right. And it is only a
which
protection for tech companies, which is a weird thing because I'll let you speak here in a second. But the only thing that I really know that's prominent about 230 is that you can't get sued for what people post, like in your comment section or your Facebook page, or well, if you would be Facebook, but your posts on Facebook or Twitter. But if they repeal 230, then YouTube could get sued for the comments that are made, or Twitter could get sued for
That
the
is,
tweets.
they
Then
could get sued because they're not an editor. It's kind of the whole point. In other words, anytime that they take, it's supposed to be an open forum, and they censor or edit or remove stuff that's First Amendment protected, then they become an editor. They become like a news agency. Like if the ABC outward, totally defames somebody and completely a lie, they can be sued for libel. And so the problem is that started to happen. The Facebook and Twitter and these other companies have started to censor, edit, and even say, well, that's not completely true. In other words, it's not an open forum. They are doing the things. They are censoring and editing, and then you basically are forfeiting the whole protections that you were granted by 230, and it's serious too because it also involves money and taxes. They get to get away with certain things, but the problem is they're doing that, and they've been doing it heavily all over the place, both sides of the political spectrum, and they openly admit it, and
and I think
they don't need to have that.
it's an interesting situation to think about, because if we did do that, if we repealed 230, what would our, what would the freedom of speech on the internet look like after that? Because look,
Well, it would look great.
from Twitter's perspective or from YouTube's perspective or whatever, if I could see them saying no, no cussing, no defamatory. We're not in fact,
Right,
honestly,
and
we're
that's the
pulling
deal.
down like
But that was
everything.
the agreement. The thing was, the agreement at the beginning was you can say what you want, and only the person themselves is responsible for that. We won't edit it. We leave it like it is. But when you become a publisher and start to censor and edit, then you basically are saying this is not a free speech zone, and that's what they're doing. So they're basically acting as someone who is liable, but they're not, while they're censoring people,
Right, right.
telling them it's an open forum. And so it will do two things. It either forces them to keep their protections, by opening up and saying we're done censoring, we're
How?
done.
How would that? I mean, if you repeal 230, they have no option but to, because then they're responsible for everything that's on their site.
Well, I think it's not repeal 230 completely. It's to repeal. It's to basically set rules for 230. In other words, it's been so wishy-washy
No,
that
this
it's
bill,
allowed these.
this thing on here is just to repeal 230, because they would have to then go through and redo. They'd have to come up with some legislation to,
What they would
to
have to do is they would be forced to be a fully open, non-censorer. You see what I'm saying?
not if they
It would
repeal it.
either.
No,
No, but 230 offers them protections if they don't censor. If you remove
no,
230 from it,
it does not. It offers them no protection whatsoever, and they become liable for everything that's posted on their site.
no,
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 no matter
no.
what, because
Well,
it then turns them into the same responsibility that like a newspaper would have.
but they've already been acting like that in the first place. So
Like,
that
look,
wouldn't change their behavior.
I
What would
understand
it? What would?
it would actually, because the thing is like, and again, I don't completely, I'm not picking a side on this, but um, what it would do is like, let's say 10% of the time they edit tweets and they edit posts or whatever. This would then have to change it to where they're 100% doing that, because right now they do have protection from, I don't know, you posting some transgender thing. Oh, let's say you decide to post on Facebook about a new encounter that you had a couple nights ago with a certain transgender person. And
What kind of encounter was that?
well, a Scott kind of encounter, It's 12 o'clock at
Okay, so I made
night.
him dress up like a unicorn under duress. I
It's
got it.
12 o'clock at night. You're lonely. Um, so you post that on Facebook, and somebody gets offended by that. Well, then they can go and sue Facebook for that. That's what repealing 230 would do, is allow them to sue Facebook. So Facebook, I think, at that point would just be like, if 230 gets repealed, I would think they would just shut down, essentially, or at least they would
Well,
shut
no, what they
down.
do is they implement Plan B, which has probably been in place for a lot of these companies already, which is the full algorithm censorship,
Right,
meaning no
right.
matter what you say, if you contain a certain order of words or you hit on a certain subject, it's not allowed. And but to say, it's what I'm trying to say is
Or
it's
or
just
look,
about.
check this out. And this might even be simpler. They probably would be like, look, you're signing it to using Facebook. You have to agree. Maybe even you have to do like a digital signature now to say that you are a contributor to Facebook. And by signing into that agreement, that you then become responsible for your own posts. Could
Yeah,
be
they
something
could
like
try
that
that, but
too,
they couldn't pull that off. Legally, they could. I don't think they could do that. I mean,
Probably
I
not. I
I
mean,
think what
yeah, I don't know.
well, I think what the point of this is to remove the protections from these companies, because the whole point of it was if you behave and you give people open forums and don't censor edit like a full-fledged news agency that's responsible for what they say, then you get these protections. And the problem is they haven't been doing that. It's got progressively worse. Where you even in YouTube has, by the way, my YouTube account got banned for what they won't tell you. And I thought, wow, what did I say? I'm totally trolling on all kinds of people all the time, but so is everyone else. So I'm like, God, what? Well, I didn't have to say anything. It could have just been one person who decided to flag something that I said, and I thought that was an anomaly until the other day. I'm watching a guy who's got about 1 million subscribers, and he said, by the way, I've had a whole bunch of my users, like say in the hundreds. Now, obviously, that doesn't sound like a lot when you get 1 million. Say that they're not only are YouTubers now being, having their accounts removed and their videos removed, but they're mass banning users now, just regular clients of YouTube for something that they said that, and YouTube does not, just like they don't tell you if you're a creator either. Like what if you broke some kind of rule? It's almost impossible to try to figure out what you did if it's not like an obvious copyright infringement. They
They
won't
will.
tell you.
They'll be vague, but they do give you an idea.
No, with me, they just said,
No,
multiple
as a
infractions
creator,
of our user agreement.
as a creator, they will. They give you a little bit more. They in the email that they send you. I
Right. I mean,
mean,
if it's copyright claim, that's a different story. But some users or some creators sometimes just get removed, and it'll say, they have to try to do an investigation if you get a chance to talk to somebody. Sometimes bigger
usually
YouTubers
usually
get
they'll
a
give you like,
get
hey,
better treatment.
it happened from this video to that video and blah blah blah. Like they'll give you those kind of parameters, and then you're like, oh, I know what this is about. Like,
And see, but they already had, the thing is, they already had basic protections to begin with, which means if somebody uploads some kind of illegal content, whether it be abusive, well, like animal abuse, child abuse, or evidence of a crime, or this or that, those things they weren't liable for in the first place. The defamation is really what comes down to being sold, because only editorial things, people who are when they create an article, when you edit and censor, you actually modify and create. And so that's really where the problem lies. There were protections already that are basic law. It just have to do with all forms of print, because those forms of print, those laws, flyers, opinions, freedom of speech, they actually apply to those companies. But Section
well,
230 was separate. It was a separate, put a little bit of legislation put in to protect, open online forums specifically, and on the basis of that. So what I'm saying is, it's not like they're open to everything. This is a libel and editorial thing that
Oh
that
yeah,
they
yeah,
they
yeah. As far
do.
as like
That's the
videos
problem.
and stuff, yeah, yeah. No, I mean, and look, I think personally, I'm fine with them. It's not gonna happen, but I'm fine with them passing it. Repeal. I just think that there's enough people who are, especially Trump supporters, because I've heard a lot of Trump supporters talk about we need to repeal 230. I think that there are a large number of them who would be shocked about what the business model will be if they do, if they repeal it. And
No,
like,
that
look,
is if
and
they're
honestly,
heavy users.
I'd be fine with it. Like, I think actually the best thing for us as a society is to stop using social media as much as we do.
No, I agree, and that's what
And
I mean. If those people who complain, and which I'm definitely one of them, about censorship and stuff on a particular, format, whether it be, YouTube or Facebook or Twitter. There's been I mean, they even deleted one of the president's tweets. I mean, I don't care how Crazy Pred says something. I want to know what Crazy Pred says. And for them to remove completely, and they didn't put it up. It wasn't an accident. They actually removed one of the president's tweets. And it's
right,
like, that's the audacity of that is mind blowing. And like I said, what it means is there'll still be protections that are laid out in the basics of free speech, and um, how basically a lot of literature and things work, because the 230 was based on some things. It was like an extra protection added in to protect some of these forms. Sure, there could be some more litigation associated with it, not being in place, but it's more to remind the companies that they have, these big corporations, that you said you weren't going to be an editor, a censorer, and a publisher,
again, I
and
think
you've become that.
I understand that that's how Trump thinks it's going to happen. I don't think he understands that most of these companies are already mega wealthy and have most of what they need, and they'll just simply shut down a lot of it.
Well, no,
You know what
I,
I mean?
I don't. I
Hey,
understand
you
this,
can't,
what,
it'll turn into like MySpace. You remember MySpace, how
but
that
what
worked?
that will do is it will open the door for companies who could not in any way ever before compete with Facebook and those other companies
Except for now
to
they're,
have a.
except for they'll be liable too.
No, but not, no. That's the thing. They won't be if if like you basically will have to pass other legislation that says
Let's
you
see,
can't
but
do this,
okay, but see,
or that's the second
that's
step.
if they pass it. And by the way, I haven't seen the Trump administration or anybody else even talk about a second step. And
Right, but
if I know the Trump administration like I know the Trump administration, they are horrible at legislation. They I don't I think they're one of the worst about writing legislation. Like
well,
there is
honestly, the U.S. government has been, in general, has
there
been way behind the times when it
there's
talks.
bad
Have
as
you ever seen any of the basically the people trying to explain tech and people's rights, how they translate to technology, and how it should be understood.
oh yeah,
You know
yeah,
how it
it's
how it,
laughable.
okay, for
It's
instance, what,
completely
I don't know
laughable.
exactly where it is for every state, but there's a big deal for everybody right now that's called right to repair. And there's even a commercial. Uh, if you know who Lewis Rossman is, if you're a Mac person, you probably do know who Lewis Rossman is. He's a very successful Mac repair guy,
By the way,
totally
we
hardcore tech.
only have like 30 minutes left, so you might.
Well, this is very similar. And what he does is he repairs Macs. He has a shop in New York City, and like in Manhattan of all places. So rents like millions of dollars. Buildings down there for tens of millions of dollars for like a crappy side street building. Well, he repairs Macs. Apple has made it horribly, increasingly difficult not only to even open their product, but to get replacement products, not from them because they won't give you anything because they want you to buy a new product, But from ordering from China, Apple has protested his repair supplies coming from China uh, because they tried to say that they were copywritten stuff. In other words, Apple would lie to get $50,000 worth of his repair stuff blocked by customs because they don't want you to repair your own stuff. And Apple's one of the worst in the world about it. And if you've ever owned some Apple products, you'd know better because he fixes stuff for $10 or $15 that Apple told people that it was burned, it was used, and he needed to buy another $5,000 laptop.
Not really following the whole thing
Well, I'm
about.
saying as they tried to explain to the Congress and the Senate why Lewis was in front of of Congress and the Senate giving testimony against the corporatists who compared people who want to repair their own products to people who are stalkers and murderers and hackers that want to take over your car from satellite orbit. That's seriously what they did. They even put out commercials. So
Man,
trying to get these people in Washington to understand issues associated with tech and is just they don't understand. I mean, they really don't. They're
I
really
know. Look,
disconnected.
look. Again, I'm actually probably on your side with this. I agree. The only thing of what I'm saying is right, wrong, or indifferent. If they repeal the 230, they're most. I mean, the big money players will have already gotten what they wanted and be on their way out, and no one's gonna know how to write legislation on this. And so, social media as we know it could be dead. And not completely, obviously. There's going to be like Pinterest and stuff like that. And by the way, it's all dying anyway. Like if you're not on Instagram or TikTok, then you're an old person who's just out of touch. Like no
And
one's on
Instagram's getting old.
no, yeah, yeah, and Instagram's on its way out too. Like no one's on Twitter or Facebook. And I mean, I'm in my mid 30s and I haven't touched Facebook in 2 years. Like, so it's becoming the way of the horseshoe anyway. And this is just gonna further kick it and accelerate that process. And honestly, again, I think that's fine. I really do.
Yeah, I'm
I
not
don't
upset
know.
about it.
I don't know how many family members I have who are in their 50s who spend way too much time on Facebook and who then tell me about the whole Dominion thing and the elections are fraud and did you know that the vaccines can give you a tail and I'm like cool. I
Is it
want a tail,
prehensile? Because that's one I want.
right? That'd be awesome. But no, I mean, it is all like, or they spend just all damn day arguing with people and you're like, you're arguing with like a 14-year-old who has nothing to do besides just
Well,
piss
no,
you
but
off,
actually, they're
right?
probably arguing with another old person at this
Or
point.
yeah, yeah, just have nothing to do besides piss each other off, like, and ultimately, if they didn't have that interaction, they would have zero interaction in their life, and so they need it. I mean, come on, again, I'm fine with it. Give us $1,400 more and take away Twitter and Facebook. Yeah, I'm cool with that. I'm totally
Yeah,
disabled
I don't think too many people can honestly say the world is a better place because of Twitter.
disable the comments in BitChute and YouTube. Yeah, I'm cool with that too. Because
Hey, they've already disabled comments all over. If you've ever gone to news sites or local sites, just
you
almost
you know
everywhere where you used to be able to comment, you can't anymore.
you know why? Because of the
Nazi.
reason the goddamn trolls. I mean, like you would be if you look at like our videos, the amount of people who probably don't even listen, and it's just like. You're wrong. You guys are idiots. You don't know anything. Wake up, man. Those people. Like, shut up. Jesus Christ. Wake up. Great. Great retort. Anyway, we don't have much time though. We do have to talk a little bit, and I have a feeling that we're going to be doing some kind of a live stream, like on stream or on Twitch or something tomorrow, because we definitely don't have enough time to do this. But I do want to get like a little bit of a start on it. Um, we do need to talk about the best and worst of 2020. This is something that you have been pushing for like 2 weeks now or 3 weeks. This was like your idea, and yeah, again, we have like 20 minutes. We literally have 20 minutes or we'll be cut off. So I think we gotta like, I'll let you start this, and
Well, I wouldn't say it's best and worst, other than stop doing this. This happened in 2020, and it's not that it's never happened before, but it's as the meme on the internet goes, time to stop. Time to stop. So one of my first bitches, which we laughed at before, was I'm kind of a science buff, so I read a lot of biological news,
well,
or
wait,
you
wait.
know, or some
First
new
up,
dinosaur,
hold on one thing.
some new animal species, huh?
To interrupt you real quick, one thing. This whole list of best of worst kind of thing. Do we want to do like say like politics, media? Yeah, do
Oh,
we want to
everything's
break?
included,
Do you want to break it
but
down
more
that
like
way?
individual things. Like I want to, it's like the first thing that I have is more just like, this is a crap I hate, or this was funny. I don't care. I give an example. When I don't know if any of you people are familiar with the murder hornets. Okay, it was never a murder hornet. They are
I
they
think
are not
everybody,
new.
I think everybody that listens to this knows about it because you rant
Yeah.
about the murder hornet like every other episode.
Well, it's the giant Asian hornet. It has been the giant Asian hornet
I
for a
swear,
thousand years.
I swear
No
that
one has
we'll be.
ever called it a murder hornet, and to my knowledge, they don't go around murdering people.
Well, Asians
It's
do,
just
you know.
well, I think Asians are smart enough to stay away from it because they're familiar with the giant Asian hornet.
Actually,
So the problem is,
do you remember that
what?
story in Canada where the this was a long time ago. It was in a Greyhound bus and the dude beheaded the other dude. Do you remember that?
Uh, yeah, I mean, there's quite a few. It had to be in what, London or something.
No, it was in Canada. It was in Canada.
I was like, oh, Canada. Okay.
Yeah, so I just heard this news clip, like, which is kind of funny. I just heard it a couple hours ago, and I actually heard it was watching something, and they did the what the cops were saying, and literally one of the cops, and I can't do a Canadian accent, so I'm not gonna try, but he was like,
Just trying to talk like this, eh?
kind of, yeah, you do better than I could, but he was like, there's a giant Asian murdering a dude in a bus. So
That's pretty honest.
when you say giant Asian murder hornet, that's what I think of.
Well, the thing is, here's what's funny is they behead bees. They attack beehives and chop the bees' heads off.
Oh
That's
yeah, that
actually very true. But my problem with this is not that it's an invasive species now that they have verified actually having breeding queens in the United States. And I think it's the Northwest where it's starting to happen. But the fact of I have known about this. I have watched YouTube videos about, and the giant Asian hornet does these kinds of nasty little things for years. I've been familiar. And then all of a sudden, the first one where they suspect that there are breeding populations of invasive species, they name it a murder hornet. And I'm just like, murder hornet? Is this what Americans do? Do we tack on another word? Did it need? It's over an inch long, and it'll sting the shit out of you. You don't have to add the word murder onto it in order to, make it
if you're a
scary.
bee, if you're a bee, it's I think it's fair.
Oh yeah, well bees can call it whatever they want. Here comes that fat son of a bitch. I don't know,
It's
but
Terry.
we as Americans who butcher the English language in the first place and spread the butchering of the English language throughout the world via our internet don't need to exacerbate the problem by coming up with it's the murder hornets. I mean, you wouldn't even name a sports team the murder hornet, but it's an example of like American arrogance and like Hollywood all smashed into one
Oh,
crappy
hold up.
B
So,
flick.
okay, who do you blame on that? Because in a way, like, look, obviously it's sensationalism. It's to get clicks, right? But don't you also kind of blame the people who don't read the articles?
Well, sure, but you're
You know what I
so if
mean?
there is I get you. If there's a computer out there that is programmed to add those words. Oh my God. Uh, Sorry, I put some dumplings on a pan. I hate burning myself in 2020. If there's literally like some robot out there, you know, a lot of robots actually do write articles, right?
Don't just stop. I don't want to hear about this.
No, 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 no. It's not robots like I'm writing an article that no one would. I'm saying they
No, I
auto
know, I
produce.
know,
A
I
story
know.
comes down the line from the AP, and then they have auto production, which basically takes the subject matter, rearranges it to avoid being,
No,
just
you
full
can
copying somebody.
you can tell by the way they write it. The
So was it a robot? They put these dangerous hornets, and they went to danger, and let's call them murder hornets. Just did it like that. I don't know who's responsible. I have to backtrack the first instance of
no,
some news guy in probably
this is
Northern California going, well, I just think they're murder hornets, or some shit like that. Stop it.
let me tell you how this happened. So they said, hey, there's this they probably had some dork, who's like, he studies insects, and hey, there's this new giant Asian hornet. And someone's like, what do they do? Give us the breakdown. And he said, well, they decapitate bees, and they're really bad for our ecosystem. So we need to get rid of them. We need to tell people, you know, essentially, if you see them, call an exterminator,
It's like
whatever.
the Red Scare for hornets. Is that what you're trying to tell me? Like
In
the
a way,
commies are coming?
in a way, this is what this guy wrote. This is what I'm saying. Is he wrote this kind of synopsis of what this new hornet is and what it's doing, and the media picked it up, and they're sitting around their table, and the guy says,
The
"Look."
media table.
The guy says, "Look, actually, you should know that all media does come from one location. Like,
Hell.
yeah, exactly. But they're like, okay, what'll get the rubes to really buy into an article?" And someone said, "Hey, did you hear about that new Hornet?" No one cares about a Hornet, but if we call it the Murder Hornet, they will click. And they're
Yeah,
like,
so it
you know what? You're
definitely
right.
is
You're
a
right.
clickbait added line. I agree. I mean, it definitely got added somewhere there. I refuse to believe it was like some, like biologist, some entomologist up there going, well, let me see. I don't think my message of this invasive species got across. Well, if that's the case, why don't we change, the Burmese pythons in Florida to like the death squeezers from hell itself?
That's
I
what I
mean,
would. You know what? Maybe. You know what? I'm taking this whole thing back now, because if I got hired onto that job, that's what I would call them. So maybe you just had somebody who was terrified of them.
This is call them the graboids. I don't know if anybody's seen Tremors, but they're the graboids. Aren't those just pythons from South America? No, no, man. These get all red, pissed off, look at you, and make you eat apples off a dangerous tree.
These things are the worst things possible, and we should exterminate them. Maybe it was just someone who was terrified of them. But no, you actually did talk about. You sent me a video today, and I'm gonna say that this is one of my worst of 2020s. And then you just touched on it with this robot writing. I totally get what you're saying with the robot writing the
Well,
article.
first I sent it. I saw it yesterday because
So
it was 6 hours old on YouTube, and I said I got to send it to my mom first to terrorize her.
you sent me first of all, let me start by saying this. I have always thought like it would be cool to have like a robot sex doll. Like, and I know like people are like, but that's what about the inside? Like, isn't that weird to know you're like banging a robot? Dude, I don't want to know about the inside of like my wife. I mean, it's pretty gross too. Bones and meat is
Look,
pretty
you just attach a
disgusting.
hose to this thing, and it's decongestant pack, and it's good.
And my thing would be this is you could have sex with it and then like program it to like clean the house. I mean, how great. You could probably program it to get a job. Like I was all
Yeah,
on
and
board.
in the past you were just relegated to like the limp, like silicone thing. But now, oh now,
No, exactly. And again, I was all on board because again, I was like, well, I could program this thing to get a job, make money during the day, come home. It'd be
if it's
great.
cheap enough to offset the cost, like solar panels.
And I really thought like that's cool. And then you sent me this video of this robot dancing. And when I
For those of you,
actually
it's from
saw it,
Boston Dynamics. You may be familiar with them.
yeah, yeah. And what was it trending under?
Robot will kill you soon, overlords, or something. I don't know. Murder robot.
Yeah, see, there you go. See, this is how it happens. This is how the murder. But no, this thing, it's the agility in which it had. I just realized, like, I was looking at my own knees, and I was like, we're done. My knees can't stand. Like, I couldn't run from that thing. Like that thing, when it's over, like it's whenever it says it. Like that's my new. That's it. Like cash it in. It's over, Johnny. Like
Well, okay, so to break it down for you, should all go to Boston Dynamics and see their most recent videos. They don't release them that often. The previous one was 6 months ago, and then a few more were a year ago. They're the people who make those crazy, creepy, like cheetah running things, but they also do some other robots. Now, the significance of this is, so in the past, you've had to have these are completely autonomous, meaning they're given a dance program. You have to move your arm to this XYZ coordinate and this one, but that's all. The robot does the balancing, and it does all the number crunching and all the electricity in the battery pack. They are all
fuck
on
this
a
thing.
human-sized form.
Fuck
So that
this
means
thing.
there's no wires, there's no energy coming to it, there's no choreographer other than the guy who made the coordinates in a three-dimensional space. And not even that, he just made the arm move. In other words, this robot, all of its moves and all of its balancing and everything else are done right there in the robot. They're not a wireless computer connected to it, giving it live moves or telling it how to do something. It's all done right there. And that means computers and CPUs have just gotten fast enough and consume only a tiny bit of power that you don't need a supercomputer behind it. The technology has now caught up with literally, if you've seen the movie Chappie or, even Terminator, we're talking like that. Fully autonomous computer. So now you add a face and some voice recognition, some behavioral modifications, and the ability to use and aim a gun, we're screwed.
See, this is what I was saying. Like, I mean, I used to think, yeah, get that, throw some titties on it, and I'm down. But now I'm thinking, throw a penis on it, and I'm fucked. That thing,
Yeah,
like
it only has
it,
to be a
it
virtual one that uses probably like 5.56 or even, just give it a shotgun or a 40 millimeter grenade launcher,
I'm not even again like
and that's probably
it
already happening.
it doesn't need to eat, doesn't need to sleep. It that's the new ruler. I don't care who our president is. It's the robot. Like
Yeah, and it is terrifying. And the funny thing is, you see it and you see it dance to "Do You Love Me," and
yeah.
then it backs out and you see that there's actually two robots. Now they're not dancing lockstep. In other words, they do make them dance in lockstep, but only for a very short time because it's not one program running all the robots. They're actually doing it all independently. And especially when you see that the other two robots that join are different kinds of robots completely.
So
And
in
it
all
it is
seriousness though, like this is why I'm for a UBI. Because honestly,
this is why we're gonna need it anyway.
anyone who, yeah, exactly. Anyone who like hasn't seen the video, watch the video and then ask yourself, could this robot do my job? And the answer is yes. I don't care what you do for a living, that robot could do your job.
Now, the one that uses it uses its own battery pack and CPU on the big two wheels to balance, and it moves on the basis of tilting the weight back and forth, which is really neat. And it had like kind of an extended arm with like this crazy looking like flat area. Those are already way in service in Amazon.
Right? Yeah,
They
they
move
are. Yeah.
boxes. They
Yeah.
can extend a 14-foot high, grab a box. Their pads, by the way, if you didn't know, are synthetic gecko skin. They have gecko pads on their flat circular
See,
grab thing. There's no
why
fingers.
haven't we done
It
this?
picks up boxes and surfaces with high-tech, super stick pads. They're not sticky in a sense of glue. They're sticky like a gecko.
This is what
And
I'm saying.
and that's almost like micro technology shit.
Why
So those things
we're
are totally in service.
we're so behind. How come we didn't do this? Like like I don't know, like Scott, you could go into the doctor and be like, "Hey, I need to be faster. Give me some cheetah heels. I want cheetah heels, so I could." And they go out, they catch a cheetah, they chop off his heels, and they put him on you, and now you can run like a cheetah.
Well, the answer is easy because it's easier to recreate things when you don't have 1 trillion test subjects and 10 Nazi doctors injecting crazy shit into you to see what happens. So,
Now I like the idea though of us running around going after endangered animals and like stealing their parts that we want.
or like, no, just like taking the gazelle from the cheetah because you're faster.
Well, yeah, but we'd still have to get them, you know?
Well,
Like, oh, dude,
like I said, if we could do that, then we could cure any disease in the world.
I've got, like, check it out. I just got a new blowhole in
Hey,
from
you've never read too many science. You haven't read enough science fiction because let me tell you, they do that in a lot of sci-fi novels. That kind
uh,
of like
the humor,
man and animal merging of kind of. But our
the
real future is to merge with technology,
the
to have
humor of it
integrated
though makes me
chips and
laugh.
wireless and connections directly into our brain. The real future is the Matrix, basically.
Yeah, and we're not like that's not our native land. We won't do well there, is what I'm saying. Like
Well,
I
since
guarantee
you
you,
create it on the fly, we
I
can do well there. In fact, it may be necessary to even succeed. Think about somebody without a cell phone these days. If you don't have a portable phone that's connected to the internet,
you mean that dude who lives in
how
Montana
efficient can you
who's
be?
like 74 and doesn't have blood pressure problems? That guy?
Well, I'm not talking about the guy who lives off the coast in Alaska by himself and he gets up in the morning, takes an ice cold bath, kicks a bear's ass, and then, no. I'm not talking about that guy.
Yeah,
He
I mean
doesn't give a shit.
that dude is. I mean that 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 dude was us before technology. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but that guy doesn't talk on Twitter. So let me tell you, the real important people, those influencers, that put
So
on
on Twitter,
makeup
they're on Twitter.
or dance on around their mansions with all their 400 friends and their guns, and then go to the Japanese suicide forest and piss on a corpse. People like that are important.
That's true. They
Not.
are. That's 100% true. And they're the ones who are running around stealing animal parts.
Yes, but for different reasons. Because just like the people who have sex with cars, they're trying out new things to be influencers with.
But
This will be this will they
you
will
know,
look back on this decade and go, Jesus Christ, what was wrong with these kids? We're
well,
the enablers for this shit, is what it happens.
we can still look back though and go, at least it wasn't the 80s. We can at least do that. But I mean, you know what our payout is though? Is that we might be able to pay $60 to watch Floyd Mayweather beat the shit out of that guy. So I
I
mean,
really hope Mayweather removes all of the guy's teeth.
oh God, that would be
I
beautiful.
really do. If I could pray to a God for that, because Connor went all the rounds with him, and Connor was like, man, that guy's good. And Mayweather, man, damn, Connor can box. Now, obviously, Mayweather dominated, but to go 12 rounds with Mayweather, I hope that what's his name?
Oh, you're right.
Got
It's Connor, isn't it? It's not Mayweather.
no. Connor already fought Mayweather. We're
No,
talking
no,
about
no.
the YouTube
Yeah,
bastard.
yeah, Jake Paul. He's fighting Connor,
Oh,
right? Or is he?
Connor wouldn't dignify that guy
Okay, it is
with a
Mayweather.
fight.
It is Mayweather. Okay. For a
And
second,
besides, Mayweather and Connor are on a different money scale than even that rich kid.
it actually, for a second, you got me excited because I was like, wait, is that kid actually? Because I was thinking, because I know that that kid is fighting Mayweather, or it's in the talks. And then I was
Yeah,
thinking,
Connor
wait,
turned him
or
down.
did I screw
Connor was
up?
like,
And is it
I'm not
Connor?
fighting you,
Because
you little punk ass.
I think Connor, like Mayweather, would go into it and probably be pretty professional.
That's because Mayweather's a boxer.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
and Connor is a boxer, but only part time. I mean, the only reason
And
Connor lost against um, uh, Khabib was because it was either going to go two ways. He was going to drop from Connor's left, or Khabib was going to
grapple.
dominate him on the
Right,
ground.
yeah.
That's the
And
only way it was going to go.
and like Connor is one of those people that I think like not that Mayweather is a punk or anything because he's not, but I just think like Connor has that like mentality that I'm gonna fuck you up for being in my ring. You know what I mean? Like he would be vicious about it, and I don't think Mayweather's gonna be vicious. That's all I'm saying. So yeah, for a
Well, you
second
got
I
to. I
got
don't know about
excited.
Mayweather's history, but I'm sure he was not rich either. I could be wrong, but Conor grew up in the welfare system in Ireland. So
Oh yeah, Mayweather
he,
is poor as shit. Yeah.
yeah, and Mayweather, I don't know what his history is, but you take a rich, pretty boy like those guys who think they've earned some stripes. People like Conor earned their stripes before they were 15.
Hey, Jake Paul earned his money. I mean,
No, no, no. I mean, earned your stripes.
no, I know.
Now, did he work? He's a rich kid who a lot of it's just like the old like you said with Trump. He had at least $1 million to start out with, and I'm pretty sure I have never heard any story about poor old Jake Paul when he was a kid who just shuffled from home to home and lived in
No,
a
no. I
van
mean, he
down by
was
the river.
now. Don't quote me because I'm not a huge Jake Paul. But from what I know, is the three brothers are from the Midwest and they come from like a middle class family. And then I guess it was Jake Paul. I'm sure there's a ton of people who correct me. But one of them started becoming famous on YouTube, and then they moved out to California, and they're like, hey, let's rip off Real World, and they basically did
Right, that was
Real
Logan,
World.
his eldest brother, who
Okay,
first got to
okay,
fame.
okay. There, see, I don't even know, but but no, definitely not the life of Conor McGregor or Floyd Mayweather. All I was saying is, for a second, I got excited because I thought, oh, did I screw up? And is he fighting Conor? Because Conor, I think, would beat the piss out of him.
Yeah, Connor would do it
Like,
purely out of hate and angst.
yes, yes,
And the thing is, none of these guys would ever fight Connor on his level
no,
in his
no,
ring.
no.
He would tear them apart. Khabib or Connor would rip these guys to pieces in a ring because they're not.
Dude, oh,
Those
okay,
guys
look,
are
like,
so much more dangerous if they're not relegated to boxing gloves and
let's
they can
be
do what they want.
let's be
These guys
honest,
can break
like,
your arms and your legs and your neck in seconds.
throw in like uh throw in any of those guys, like throw in any of those people against, like, even like Cowboy Cerrone or Shogun, who
Oh yeah.
I mean it doesn't matter.
Well,
They're gonna
I'll,
hell
I'll,
put
I'll
put them up
finish this
against
out by saying
what's her name? Put
if
them
you
against
don't think
Cyborg.
MMA artists are good, there's a middle-aged 40s guy who's just kind of an average Joe MMA fighter in China. He has challenged and okay, he has said I can beat any kung fu master in China because basically most kung fu is horseshit and none of it is good in a real fight. In other words, it's pretty. I'll take on any monk, any grandmaster, anything. Before the Chinese government ruined his life because he beat so quickly and so badly every single grandmaster, super freaking kung fu person that tried to
Yes.
even fight him. We're talking seconds,
Suck on that,
and they
Jet
were
Li.
crying and bleeding. And he made him look so bad that the Chinese government removed this guy from basic society in a digital sense. He can't travel. He can't fly. They took all his rights away because he made China look bad by showing how much bullshit that kung fu is.
Right? No.
That's the level of that. So I hope I hope Mayweather, who is a boxer, destroys that
See,
kid
and I don't know if he
so
will. I
badly.
don't know if he will destroy him because apparently Jake Paul is somewhat of a good boxer too. That's
No,
and I
okay.
do
There's a good boxer,
and
and then there's
Mayweather,
the champion.
right? But Mayweather is old as. I mean, he's old.
He's the
Like,
best defensive boxer there ever is.
true,
Connor's got one
true,
of the hardest left punches that you can probably fathom on a guy that's his size. That's
true.
not the mountain.
No,
And the
I agree.
mountain
I agree.
thinks that Connor is a mean mofo.
Well, the mountain's a really
So
nice dude.
yeah, well, right, but they're buddies. But I'm just saying that it's a whole nother level. That Jake Paul probably can't even hit Mayweather.
No,
Mayweather is
probably not.
that
Probably not.
good
No, I
at
was just
avoiding stuff.
basically all I was
And I
saying.
guarantee you that white guy doesn't have the jaw for a few good Mayweather punches.
All,
He,
all I was
he's going to
saying,
depend on it.
my thought is like the only reason why Jake Paul might end up looking better than he is his stamina and his age that he could kind of keep up because Mayweather
Oh yeah,
isn't.
he cast age. But see, that lies within what the reason this fight's happening in the first place. It's completely promotional.
Oh
Now, if
yeah, yeah.
Mayweather goes, "Hey, I'll take 100 million and give you 10," it's still going to work. Of course, 10 million. It's still going to work in what's his face's benefit, just because he not only got a chance to fight the champ, but the promotion of his name will just skyrocket. Did you hear
Oh
about the
yeah,
white
yeah.
guy?
Oh
That
yeah,
yeah.
dude. I mean, I would if it wasn't for the NFL, I would think about buying that fight. I mean, and I don't buy fights, but anyway. So I guess we're gonna do a stream tomorrow, so we can finish our list of best and worst kind of stuff. We will be on the Revolution. It's Rev Radio 01, I believe, on Twitch. So check us out there. We'll be on at least for like an hour or so. Maybe we'll be playing some UFC 3. We got options. We'll have fun.
great, great. I get to play a fighting game I've never played before,
Hey, I've only
but I am
played.
a Street Fighter
I've
guy.
only
So,
played it like twice, so you don't have much of an edge
okay.
on me.
Well,
It's hard when you got the PlayStation 5. I mean, what else you know? I got other stuff.
I'll survive with my fancy Xbox One for one more day.
But anyway, thanks a lot for listening, guys. There again, if it's the end of the year show for you, then we will see you in 2021. If not, we'll see you tomorrow on Twitch. Take care, guys.
Later.